Hi, I'm Derek Ashong, and you are now in the stream. This is a social media community that is your opportunity to get ideas on television. We source things from you, our audience, and we bring them to a worldwide audience. Today, we're taking it to the Middle East, and we're talking about a really important but somewhat sensitive issue: why some in Lebanon are fighting a proposed law that will protect women from domestic violence. Now, our digital producer, Ahmed Shihab Eldin, is here as always, bringing us your live feedback. Today, he's got something very special that we want to get to just before we introduce our guest host for the day. Ahmed, tell us what makes today special for us at the stream.
Well, it's a minor milestone, we can call it, but it's still worth mentioning. Today, we've reached 10,000 followers on Twitter. So we wanted to share that the 10,000th follower is Arabzi. That's his name, at Arabzi. Congratulations.
At Arabzi online. Okay, so we'll hit him up with a follow Friday so that people will know what he's all about. But we want to thank all of our community for helping us to reach this minor but important milestone for us. Let's move it right along. Beck Hamilton is joining us today. She's a journalist and also a human rights lawyer. Beck, I know that you recently came back from Sudan. Tell us a little bit about what you've seen there.
It's just been an incredible period of change for what is now two new countries. So we've been seeing the formation of not just the new country of South Sudan, but also the new country of Sudan in the north as well. And I think there's huge questions in both cases about the sustainability of the nationhood project. In the south, though, there's just so much enthusiasm from the people and a commitment to really honor the deaths of so many that were lost during the war to make sure that the project of the new country works.
Well, I'm curious, from what you've seen, are they better off apart? Or were they better off together?
Look, I think it's going to be way too early to definitively answer that question. But I do think that what we haven't focused on enough is about the viability of the new northern state Sudan and the huge number of governance challenges that it has as a new country without the South.
Got you. Well, it's really good to have you here, particularly because you've gotten expertise in human rights. And I want to get more of your thoughts in our topic today shortly, because it's something that's right up your alley, I think.
Great.
Thanks very much. Now, we always want to know what stories you're following, so you can send them to us using the hashtag AJStream. And if you do, you yourself could wind up right here on the stream. Also, you can check out our Facebook page where you'll find more info on our stories, and you can send us comments and suggestions. You can even see me live as we're streaming this right now.
So long before the creation of Twitter and YouTube, more than 10,000 people were massacred in Hama, Syria to quell an armed revolt by the Muslim Brotherhood. But it took months for the news to leak out of the country, and that was in 1982. Today, almost 2 decades later, tweets, Facebook albums, and YouTube videos have given protesters powerful platforms to raise their voices and instantly connect to millions and millions across the world faster than ever before. But on the first day of Ramadan, government forces killed 24 people throughout the country in Syria in the worst day of violence since protests broke out in February. Now, the hashtag Ramadan Massacre emerged on Twitter to help keep track of reports coming from Syria. Many of the messages offered support to Syrian protesters, including this one from Bashar Arnaud saying, "Since March, more than 2,000 have been killed by Assad in Syria, but the brave people are determined to topple the regime." But many also use the hashtag Ramadan Massacre to criticize Arabs for turning what they're saying is a blind eye to the violence. Now, this tweet from Rime saying, "What did you have for iftar today? Hama residents had tank shells." And this tweet from Nawara82 saying, "Where are all the Arab leaders from what's happening in Syria now? Today I am ashamed to call myself an Arab." Now, even though Ramadan started on Monday and is a month-long period of fasting to remind Muslims about humility, patience, and submissiveness to God, Syrian President Bashar Assad has continued to use overwhelming force against protesters. And on Twitter, many have compared world reaction to Anders Breivik's attack in Oslo, which killed 76 people, and Assad's attack on Hama that killed more than 100 in the last 3 days. This is the tweet from Your Anon News saying, "In one day, Assad killed more people in Hama than the Oslo nut, yet the world is silent." Now, they're using that hashtag again, and it's worth saying again, criticism was focused on Arabs, but a lot of people also criticized the international community at large, and the UN specifically. We have this tweet from Wadadi saying, "The Security Council failed yet again to condemn Syria And the Ramadan Massacre, how ironic. Bashar al-Assad has super diplomatic immunity. Now, they also say a picture is worth 1,000 words, but as Dicey Lee puts it, this photo is worth 3. And here they are right here. Assad is Hitler, she says, using this photo of graffiti showing Bashar al-Assad, the president, with the infamous Hitler mustache. Well, a moving picture can be all the more powerful, and this is a video that we're going to share with you of security forces allegedly out of Syria. I should say it was sent to us by Bella Behold, and we cannot confirm or verify, hold on, I'm going to play it. It seems to be jammed just a little bit. We cannot verify this footage, but the uploader claims it was fabricated by the Syrian security forces to make it appear as though civilians threw the bodies off a bridge into a river. But according to Syrian state TV, the bloodied bodies being dumped right here in the river, as you can see, are Syrian secret police that had been killed by anti-government fighters. Now, we couldn't show all of the video on air because it's extremely graphic, but we will tweet it out to those of you who follow us at AJ Stream to have a look for yourselves. Now, that's just one of the stories you've been feeding the stream with, but here are a few more that you are following.
Like most countries in the Middle East, Lebanon does not have laws protecting women from domestic violence. But activists may be close to changing that. After years of campaigning, a draft bill now sits in Lebanon's parliament awaiting approval. The proposed law would criminalize physical, mental, and sexual abuse, marital rape, and so-called honor killings. It would also establish family violence units within the police force. Now, although this issue is taboo in much of the Middle East, many women in Lebanon have begun to speak out quite vocally on it. Women's advocacy groups have been spreading the message through protests and by posting victim stories online. One woman in particular, named Zahra, described what happened to her after she got married, and we actually were able to take a clip of her video and translate it into English, and we can provide you a window into her experience here.
بلش العنف هو وأهله لحتى أنجبت منه 4 أولاد. يعني ضليت استمرت سكت إنه لقيت حالي ما إلي ملجأ أروح عليه. ضليت إنه خلص هيدي هي الحياة هيك وين ما راحت المرأة إنه هيك بالضبط. فلقيت حالي إنه لازم أسكت وأقعد. ضليت ساكتة إنه أهلي ما عادش فيني أرجع لعندهم. وهو لقى ما فيش إلي ملجأ زاد العنف يعني كتير كان يخبطني يضربني بالعصاية بالإقشاط العسكري المحل الحديدة. يعني اللي بدك اياه بشرطان الكهرباء يجدلهم يضربني فيهم لحتى انجبت منه 4 أولاد. بعد ما جبت 4 أولاد انحكم عليه بالسجن 5 سنين.
Now, Dar al-Fatwa, Lebanon's highest Sunni Muslim authority, has rejected the proposed law, claiming that it's Western and would ruin Lebanon's family structure. This was later supported by the Shia authority in the country as well. Activists say that these groups oppose the bill because cases would be referred to a criminal court instead of religious courts. Joining us now from Beirut is Nadine Moad. She's a blogger and a member of Nasawiya, a feminist collective in Lebanon that's been campaigning for this law. Also in Beirut is Sunay Nuh, a social activist with the Women's Coalition for Defending the Family. It's an organization that opposes the bill. Sunay, let's begin with you. Why would you oppose a bill that purports to protect the rights of women like yourself?
Well, the thing is that I feel that my rights are protected against any physical injury, assault, and battery through my already present penal law. This is what I think, all right? Actually, what I also think is that this proposed law may actually rob me of the right to drop my complaint. And so basically, it considers women not to be mature enough to make such a decision and wants to take it for them. So this is the main issue for me.
Now, Nadine, how do you respond to that?
Well, I don't think the issue is about maturity. The issue is really about giving women choices and empowering women within our, strictly patriarchal system to be able to report violence and speak up against violence. And we know that the current laws haven't been doing enough because the studies show that large numbers of women are still silent about domestic violence. Women aren't reporting it enough, and in a lot of cases it's also leading to femicide. So women are being killed because there is nothing there that's strong enough to stop the cycle of violence and to give women the options to report it and seek the protection that they need.
So Sune, Nadine is arguing that the protections currently aren't adequate for women.
Well, she may be right there, but what we need to do is to raise the awareness with these women to actually speak up and have their voices heard and to activate the already existing penal law, because it actually really protects women against all kinds of physical injury and battery.
Sune, I just had a question, a clarification really. You said that you're concerned that with the law, women won't have the right to withdraw a complaint. Is that because of the mandatory reporting by the health centres that's in the law?
Not just the health centres. In a recent study that CAFA organization made, she clearly stated that they are for dropping the right to drop the complaint, or the personal right and to consider a personal right non-existent with domestic violence, and instead any domestic violence should be considered as a public right.
Sune, if I may, we have a tweet from Quizman1967 saying, "I can't understand why some in Lebanon are against this bill, and he thinks it must be men." Now, you're a woman, and it seems like you're arguing on the technicality. So I guess my question to you is, what about the position of marital rape? It seems that's legalized there. What do you think? Do you think it's a problem?
I have a problem with the word marital rape because of course, we are all against rape, and we know that the penal law incriminates it. However, the word marital rape is not present in the penal law. All right.
So if a woman doesn't want, if she wants to not have, sexual relations with her husband, then does that constitute it in your definition?
Well, this is not rape. Not every time when a man wants to have intercourse with his wife, it should be considered as rape. Rape has a certain definition, and it involves harm and injury, body harm and physical injury. All right, and this is of course unacceptable, and it's completely rejected, and it's incriminated through our penal law.
Nadine, how would you respond?
Yeah.
Well, what the penal code actually says is that if you force someone other than your spouse into sexual intercourse against their will, then you go to jail. So it actually explicitly excludes spouses from this. So in a way, it authorizes, it gives validation to marital rape.
Okay, but just let me ask you, Nadine, Sune is saying that she's seeming to not consider it rape if it's not involving perhaps a violent act or the woman is being beaten. How would you respond to that?
No, can I clarify that, please?
Please do.
No, I did not say that. I said that if a woman is being injured or harmed for whatever reason, whether through her relation with her husband or intercourse or whatever, if she's harmed, then of course this is not acceptable. But to say that every relationship or every kind of conjugal, or intercourse with the husband is to be called a marital rape if it's against her will. Well, no, of course, this is not also, I cannot abide by this.
Wait, I'm sorry, Sune, I want to make sure we're clear then. So you're saying that if it's a conjugal act that's against her law, but it is not committed in violence, then it is not rape?
Exactly.
Okay, Nadine, please, could you respond? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's absolutely what rape is. Rape is sexual intercourse against your will. So how could...
Well, if it's conducted by someone other than your husband, of course.
His wife, it's a negotiation process perhaps, but when a husband forces himself upon the wife, when she clearly has said that she would not like to have sex for whatever reason, she is free to do so, then she should have absolute right to do so. It is in no way acceptable that we can say that sometimes in conjugal relationships, a husband can force himself upon his wife. This is dangerous, and I don't think anybody wants this for our mothers or our sisters or ourselves or our daughters. On the contrary, it should be a relationship, a negotiation of respect, and when sometimes the husbands may not want to have sexual intercourse, and that should be totally fine. But the problem is that we are looking at cases of violence as if they're separate incidents or issues that could happen independently of each other, and we all know, the studies tell us and the research shows that violence is a cycle within the family. So that's why the family protection law, it's what it does is it links all forms of violence together. So the physical with the sexual, with the economic, with the mental violence, or the verbal violence. So
you know,
we can't one case. I don't think there's going to be a case where women would report, you know, my husband wants to have sex tonight, I don't want to have sex with him, and that's the problem. That's not really the problem here.
Nadine, actually, let me get Sune an opportunity to respond, and then we'll come to our audience, and I want to get some of your thoughts back. Go ahead, Sune.
Yeah. Well, what I understood from Nadine is that she's really talking about when the intercourse causes, serious injury or harm to the woman. And I have already clarified the fact that this is really unacceptable. Of course, the conjugal relationship is really a very sensitive one. And any two couples may have different, may go through different hardships during their marital lives, and especially about, of course, when we are dealing with the sexual side of this relationship. However, I don't think that the solution to this problem should be through penal laws. I think it should go through counseling and these kinds of channels because of the sensitivity of the issue.
Now, Sune, let me jump in there, and Beck, really want to get your thoughts on this because you are a human rights lawyer. Are there challenges with dealing with these issues in the courts?
Oh, always. And let's just put this in broader context. This is a debate that is not just happening in Lebanon, it's happening in society. It's all around the world, where you have usually women's groups, even though men are often supportive of it, moving towards laws that bring gender equality up, creating laws based on people's rights as citizens, creating no distinction between whether you are a man or a woman, whether you are married or not, and what religion you practice. And there's usually some kind of pushback and some effort to find a way to mediate between these competing ways of adjudicating. I think part of the story that's happening in Lebanon at the moment is, who is it? The battle is, who is it that gets to adjudicate these issues? Is it the religious courts? Is it the secular courts?
Exactly.
And that's the underlying debate that's going on here.
You know, on Twitter, we got lots of responses, but someone texted us this comment saying, "Men are the protectors of women. It is and always has been so." Now, when I just quickly watch a video from the Ministry of Tourism in Lebanon, we do get a sense, and it shows you that Lebanon, at least parts of the country, is among the most liberal, you could even say most progressive for women, at least on the surface, as you can see in this government video, tourism ministry video. So my question is, we see that lots of Arab women struggle with feeling as though they can stand up for their own rights, whether it's through violence, through rape, through domestic violence. But when domestic violence has been reported, they end up taking it to family court. And some of those laws date back to the Ottoman era. Is that a major issue in this debate, Nadine? Is that what it boils down to?
I think definitely so. The misconception is that Lebanon is a liberal country with freedom for women, but specifically because we have this tourist industry and we have these fake sorts of rights. So women in Lebanon can go shopping and they can go to the beach and they have a certain room of liberty. But when it comes down to legal measures that we need to protect us, we're not even considered Lebanese citizens because we cannot pass on our nationality to our children or to our husbands. There's no protection from domestic violence. Lots of the articles in the Penal Code and in the Personal Status Law, which is a sectarian law divided according to religion. Lots of these laws are really detrimental towards women's health and their self-esteem and their value in society, and it hinders them from becoming active citizens. I mean, we had a new cabinet only a few weeks ago, and the cabinet had absolutely no women. I think that puts us as the lowest in the entire world, maybe. I mean, how much lower than zero can you go, really?
Mm-hmm. I want to get another question into Sunay. Dar al-Fatwa, which is a high Sunni authority in the country, has said that they believe that this law would lead to the demise of the family structure. Do you agree with that? And on what grounds do you think they make that argument?
Well, yes, I agree with that. Well, when Dar al-Fatwa made that statement, it included a multitude of reasons. I'm not going to go through all of them. However, I'm going to state or talk about one reason, which is the fact that the domestic violence law incriminates the protective role of parents, especially the father, as guardians, which includes the rights or the right to discipline the children, all right? Of course, within the boundaries allowed by the penal law. And this is quite against our culture. And of course, we know that discipline is a very important part in raising kids. So this is one of the main one of the issues in this, or the flaws in this law.
Would you say, Sunay, that as it currently stands, sons and daughters are treated equally by families in Lebanon?
Well, I hope so.
Not according to the law, though, surely.
Not according to which law?
Inheritance laws and other laws?
Actually, if I may speak, one of our main concerns about the proposed law, the domestic violence law, is the fact that it is it involves only, or it addresses only women and females in a family. And this is really very annoying, because what happens to the abused boy, little boy, or
Sunay, if I can just jump in there, sorry, because we're running out of time, but this is the website of Dar al-Fatwa, and I just want to say that they say on their website, on the Dar al-Fatwa website, that the group also is upset because they think, and this is me quoting verbatim, that the proposed law would have a negative impact on Muslim children who will see their mother threatening their father with prison in defiance of patriarchal authorities. So doesn't this all come back to where moral authority stands in Lebanon? Whether it should be a...
I think what Dar al-Fatwa meant by that is that the way this law is forged, could give way to malicious intentions or, fabrications by women in order to, get rid of their husbands or something.
Okay, I want to ask the both of you to stay with us, because we're going to continue this conversation in the post-show. And before we do, what are your thoughts so far?
I was wanting to get Nadine's response to that, actually.
Okay, Nadine, we only have a short amount of time, but what's your response quickly?
Very quickly, children in Lebanon are already protected by child protection law, and already parents cannot discipline their children by beating them. They're protected against violence. And what this law will do, it will not dismantle our culture, our traditions. What about the role of violence in the family? Isn't that affecting our kids? This law will prevent more violence. It will force men to deal with their masculinity, to talk about these issues outside of the patriarchal, violence.
So, Nadine, let me jump in right there, because what we're going to talk about in the post-show is whether or not this is fundamentally a battle for power between the courts and the religious institutions. I think this goes potentially, or some are arguing it goes beyond just domestic violence. Thank you, Beck, for being with us. Thank you, Nadine, and also Ahmed. Join us at stream.aljazeera.com, where we're continuing the conversation. And make sure to check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/AJStream, where you can communicate with us there as well.